Hey there, test. Hey there, guys. What's up? Francis and Ed, welcome to my channel and the program. Tonight I'd like to talk about the barriers that prevent us from achieving certain things and attaining certain goals. So just right after having finished the conversation with one of my mates in Australia, Aaron, I have been considering and gathering thoughts regarding why I am here and what caused us to stay where we are and what's been driving us to attempt and to do certain things. So during our conversation we mentioned lots of lots of examples, lots of details about the current Australian economy and the world's current order and system, especially monetary and socio-economic systems. So yes, and possibly some also the conversation included and contained several points of discussions about the legislative systems of several different countries and how exactly those legal systems affect and alter their people's behaviors. So yeah. So number one, I suppose the most compelling, most imperative, and the most obvious barrier that prevents us from achieving and attaining our goals is that it is our current mindset and apparently the environment, the people we chose to stay with largely affect our current mindset, our current belief system, and to a vastly large degree it affects our behavior thereafter. So yeah, whom you choose to stay with seriously and largely affect what you tend to think of, and it also largely affects how you perceive the world around you, the other people around you, and it also affects how you like to perceive how you like to perceive and judge others' behaviors that you think they are acting or they might be acting against you. You might start for instance you might start thinking of let's say for my cases, I have got several cousins, and somehow each time my grandma mentions about their annual or their monthly earnings respectively, I will begin to think if not that will, but I tend it tends to make me think that I am a somewhat loser compared to them, since it can somehow trigger some some mind, some conflicts, some struggles within my brain. I might start to think that I am a loser compared to those cousins of mine, since they each and every one of them has got a full-time employment, while I am usually getting quite stranded at my grandma's place doing my own entrepreneurial work, delegating the work, delegating the tasks and the project I designed on my own to my prospective employees and candidates. So yes, so far in the most and by comparison, I for this most recent several weeks, I am quite a loser by comparisons. Since I didn't manage to make that much of money in the most recent weeks, though because I am quite busy with hiring and selecting the most appropriate, the most adequate candidates for those several job positions I have managed to create. So yeah, that's to put it short, to briefly summarize, whom you choose to stay with can seriously affect your mindset and your current perceptions of the people around you, of the current world order, and lots of other social phenomena. So yeah, probably, perhaps and most probably, we cannot choose who gave us birth, and we cannot choose our nationalities, we cannot choose our hometown. However, we can still choose to think outside of the box. We can still choose to think differently from others, and we can still choose to perceive your current adversities, your current difficulties in a whole new in a wholly and totally different level or angle of perception. We can still choose to find positivities there. Let's say, for example, if you do happen to share similar situations like I do, you are trapped, or you are stranded, or you feel stranded, you feel trapped at your parents' house, or at your grandparents' places, and you might start to think you might start to think that you are a loser. You are too far behind in comparison with in contrast with your colleagues, with your classmates, with your coworkers, etc. etc. So yeah, I can totally relate to that feeling, and I can totally feel what you are feeling. So just do bear in mind that it doesn't quite matter. You will still see some changes. You will still see some positive changes that can happen during your lifetime, and so yes, if you do if you do choose to perceive your environment, your current environment, and those people who are currently, whom you choose to stay with currently, might pose some sort of barrier to your own, to your personal development, and to your future's success and outcomes. If you do choose to make it a barrier, then it is a barrier. However, you can still choose to turn that disadvantage into an advantage. Let's say for instance, you perhaps some of you guys are currently staying in China, like I do, and you don't have the freedom of speech, the freedom of the freedom to access an open and free internet. Thus to speak, you lack the freedom of information, the freedom of speech, and the freedom to to access some restricted contents in your countries, in your home countries, respectively. So yes, and you find yourself in a tough situation where you don't have anyone to speak English to, and where you don't have anyone to practice your the foreign languages you just decided to pick up while you were whilst you were in the countries where you chose to migrate to. But then due to various reasons, due to a variety of unforeseen outcomes or surprises or catastrophic events, you had to depart from that country, and you find yourself in a place where most people tend to perceive you as a loser, or something worse than that. However, you still have the freedom. You still have the the ability to think outside the box. That means you can still choose to not think like that. You can still choose to perceive your current situation differently, because there are definitely some advantages to your current situation if you are that says if you are also referring to my current situations here in China. So let's say if you do happen to share the same situation or very similar situation like I do, you can still choose to make YouTube videos. You can still choose to assimilate and to absorb as much knowledge and as much skills and techniques as possible. You can still choose to meet different kinds of people from a variety of cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds, and you can choose to have fun with them. You can talk, you can have several conversations, and you can definitely find yourself in a far more enjoyable situation than you used to think you have. I suppose the most daunting, the most challenging barriers that you need to overcome before you can manage to to succeed, to become successful with your own life, with your own things that you chose to commit your whole life to. And what else? Yes, perhaps, yeah, that's, yes, well, pretty much what you are currently thinking of dictates and determines what it pretty much determines and dictates what you are about to become in the nearest future. Because, those thoughts, those mindset will direct you or will lure you or tempt you, whichever you prefer to call it. Those thoughts, whatever those thoughts are, will direct you and lure you into doing something that usually highly relates to to those thoughts, or to say those thoughts, they directly derive themselves from those those outcomes. They directly derive themselves from those thoughts and mindsets. Because anger, disappointment, fear, it usually, they usually seriously and vastly affect your ability to make reasonable and logical judgment against a certain a particular situation or something like that. And there's another thing I'd like to mention, is that since Satan himself pretty much rules the world at the moment, for the moment, so, and I firmly believe so, and I firmly believe that those who are in power, they almost always use fear and nervousness and to keep us under their control and manipulation, as well as indoctrination. Let's say for example, for most college, for most students at colleges, at unis, at universities, regardless of the fact if they are international students or domestic students, in order to pass the course, in order to to acquire your degree, the unis, your lecturers will always encourage you to study hard, to study smartly, so that you can pass your course without too much difficulty. And they will feed you with a multitude, with tons of crabs and bullshit, in order that they can manipulate you, in order that they can take advantage of you, characterized by those nasty and stupid assignments and projects they usually ask you to complete. And don't you dare not to assume that they are taking advantages of the assignments and projects you have done. And and I highly suspect, I highly doubt if those assignments and those project work, group project, group assignments they ask you to do, only meant to to help you pick up a skill, to learn a certain technique, I can hardly I can hardly believe that those projects and assignments carry a singular purpose, helping you to pass your course solely. There must be some sort of strings attached to the projects, to the assignments, to the group work you were instructed to do and to attempt. Because you know what, I have learned through the recruitment through the recruitment processes I have conducted and performed recently, that no matter whom you choose to work under his or her command or instructions, you will be taken, that entity or that group of person or that particular person will definitely take some sort of advantages from you. And even I myself have to admit that I have taken a huge advantage of those applicants, those candidates who showed some sort of interest in my current job offerings to them. It's mostly characterized by a serious amount of tests I asked them to finish, and it's not, there are still definitely some strings attached, because I asked them to post several ads on Gumtree, so to save my own effort posting those ads on Gumtree. So you can see that nothing is quite simple. Nothing can be as simple as it seems, as long as we are speaking of anything that's located in this system we call the matrix, we call the world, we call the planet Earth we are currently residing on. So but nevertheless, that shouldn't become a huge barrier against your success, because there are tons, there are a multitude, there are plenty of ways to circumvent that. One of those methods is that you incept your own business, you incept your own corporations. In order to create your own laws, in order to create your own rules, in order to create your own systems. But that comes much later, because I'm still trying to word those theories right. I still need to think of better and more efficient ways to present my thoughts, ideas, and my practices. So I hope this video clip can somehow and somewhat help you, with overcoming your own barriers towards your goals, towards your objectives, towards your mission. So yes, if you do happen to have some requests about making a prayer video for yourself or from other audiences of mine, or for other subscribers of this channel, please do feel free to speak up. I will I'll try my best to answer to every prayer request, though I cannot guarantee that 100 prayer requests will receive satisfaction, But yes, I can promise you guys that I will do my best to satisfy your requests for prayer vids, for more specific videos with more specific topics and conversations. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching, listening. Stay blessed, stay faithful, stay tuned, and I shall see you on the next video on YouTube. Bye bye. Cheers. Have a great Friday and enjoy your weekends.